right, we're back. 8:19 on this rainy. Is it still raining out there, by the way? I just said that.
It's damp and kind of, sticky.
I like it.
Yeah.
The rain should be rolling in here afternoon.
Cool. In the studio, Mike Chester and Joe Kupke, both of Curtis Mathis and Danielle Cunningham with BCAM Swan Horan joining us in the studio for kind of a crosstalk. This is crosstalk hour of marketing.
Did you ever see that on Saturday Night Live?
Crosstalk. Curtis Mathis, television we all had, trusted, grew up on. It was more of not only a television, but it was a piece of furniture in a way. It was wooden. I remember getting out the pledge and having to dust the TV.
Absolutely.
Right? Am I right?
You
Dust the cabinet.
Major piece of furniture right in the middle of the room.
But it's back then. That's the Cadillac of televisions.
Absolutely.
It was.
The most expensive television you can buy and darn well worth it.
And the retail price for television back in the day?
$300-400, and that was top of the line.
I wonder what that is if you were trying to translate that in today's terms.
It's a lot of dollars.
It was a lot of dollars. Okay, business great. 50 years plus, right? 2010, you guys decided, maybe we'll get out of the television business.
Major revolution going on in L.E.D lighting. We looked around for ways for the company to move forward in a meaningful way and to do something good for consumers at the same time. L.E.D lighting was it. We've had 125 years of incandescent lighting. L.E.D is a new technology. It saves a tremendous amount of energy, not just for the family or the business, but for the country and for the planet. It's green. It doesn't have the mercury that compact fluorescents have. It's also high-tech. It's a semiconductor, can be controlled from cell phone apps and other ways to adjust your lighting, control your energy usage. It is definitely the way that lighting is going. And we're going to find new innovative ways to use lighting because it sips electricity. People are illuminating things they didn't used to illuminating in very pretty attractive ways.
It's a soft light. You can be controlled, right, on the level of brightness, the color.
A number of variables. Don't want to get too deep into them, but there's something called color temperature. 2700 K is what you think of as a soft white, and 4000 or 5000 K is a very bright.
Is this 200,000 K in front ahead of us? I feel like it's a tanning bed in here sometimes.
That's probably 4,000 or 5,000 K in the ceiling in here. But in your living room at night when you're reading a magazine, you probably want 2,700 K. And that's color temperature. Then there's also color itself, of course, and brightness. And most of our bulbs and many LEDs are dimmable. They're very controllable.
Dimmable is a big thing to me because I want to control if I need really a bright space any given time. But then there's times when I don't. I want a softer, more ambient type of a light. And I don't know about you, Brian, but overhead lights just absolutely bug me. I want lamps.
Me too. I want the overhead when I'm looking for a lost earring for somebody.
Yes, exactly.
It's not yours, by the way, right?
Not mine. I don't wear earrings.
Yeah, no, it is. It's definitely there's a purpose, and the purpose I don't use overhead lighting ever when I'm at my house, only to look for something like you said. That's it.
We talked about the ambiance. We talked earlier about televisions, that the TVs used to have those 300-400 pound televisions in the corner. And
I still do. I do have one in my bedroom that honestly it would take the three of us to get out there. It needs to go to the curb, to be honest with you.
So back then, the woman of the home had to decorate around that. So the same thing is happening now, where she can take lighting that she can control and to create an ambiance for her family, and for her friends.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have people over for dinner, if you're having a party, I think that one of the aspects that, Brian mentioned about being able to change color of lighting, those are new technologies that are emerging. you don't need to go and hire party people and events people necessarily when you can actually do some of that yourself in your own home.
Yeah, tweak the color of the lighting and the different shades and the way you angle it. Absolutely. And I think that you touched upon a big thing. You're saving electricity. You're saving money. At the end of the day, you're using less of it, right?
It's huge. In the United States, we use about 15% of the electricity we make for lighting. Residential, commercial, industrial, and LED lighting saves about 85% of that 15%, which is a huge number for the United States. Same kind of thing going on around the world in Asia and in Europe. And that number is going to increase. The 85%, we call that efficacy, and it's rising. It's going to be 90%. It might be 95%. We're saving huge amounts of that electricity bill, so it's very green in that way. And again, no mercury or other bad things in the LED lights. Not only that, but the light itself that comes out, no ultraviolet, does not fade your fabrics and your curtains and your carpets.
Didn't think about that.
And then a lot of people, you mentioned, Brian, that you have one light must be 30 feet up.
Oh, I'm not getting up there, but when it goes out, it's out.
Yeah, you've got to call.
You have to move.
Somebody.
You're going to have to move and have to take off probably $1,000 in the house when you get ready to go. Now, how has the company culture within your company changed that we've now shifted from producing televisions to now doing LED lights?
Well, I can say that there's a real sense of excitement. This has caused a major shift in our company. It's caused a huge increase in revenue. People are loving our lighting. They're loving our brand. The employees are excited every day. It's really a dynamic culture that is very excited about this shift to LED lighting and about some of the things that are coming down the road, because we have some other exciting things coming.
And Danielle, they're probably fired up because they're like, "Hey, I grew up on you guys. You're just a friend in my family, right? You're not a stranger."
It's true, and I think that translates into the trust. And a trusted relationship is one that is not easily built. It takes time, and it's easy to lose it. But that's a factor that you definitely have with your brand. Is from who doesn't know the Curtis Mathis brand, as you were saying, anybody who's sort of that age range of 45 and above. And, in our business, in accounting and in the CPA world, trust is huge. And again, it's not easily built. And, once you have it, you really need to keep it and earn it.
Yeah, you have to be a good caretaker of that because you've been entrusted with this 50, 60-year-old brand that the consumer recognizes and believes in. And so that's given us a huge opportunity, but a tremendous sense of responsibility to maintain that.
You brought up an excellent point earlier about market share. And you figure this, okay, how many U.S. households we have, and each one might have 2 or 3 televisions, but how many lights potentially could they have in each home? And so your potential for sales supersede what you could sell televisions.
We have been told, and the numbers that we have read and been presented to us, is in the U.S. homes and apartments and condos, there are 5 billion sockets that have to be replaced over a period of time. So the adaptation of LED over the next 4 to 5 years, let's just say it's 20% a year. You're talking 1 billion light bulbs a year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy anything now except for LED. I'm replacing all of mine.
Oh, I've got...
I've replaced mine.
Have you?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Because of the cost savings, you're not changing out bulbs
it's hot, probably,
all the
right?
time. And there's
in the
just...
bathroom, putting your makeup on, you're not sweating.
The color factor,
right.
As a woman putting on my makeup, I want true color. I don't want...
Absolutely.
Anything skewed, and
that's cool about LED is that you can choose one that looks like an incandescent. It'll have the same color, and you can also have one that's white that has true color.
Absolutely, there are many variables in lighting, and you can get bulbs that stay very close to true color. You can. There's that variable. There's the variable of color temperature, which is the warm to the cold. It's the variable of the actual light itself. And when consumers do find confusion in issues like that, they tend to gravitate to trusted brands. So, again, the Curtis Mathis brand is a brand that is very much trusted. We have to, as you have said, live up to that. We have to make sure we have very high-quality products, that we warrant them for a long time, that we have good customer service, and we do that.
And then the value that you bring. This is such a, in my opinion, this is really the value play because of the cost savings and the energy savings that really this embodies.
Mike Chester and Joe Kupke and Danielle Cunningham from BK & Swan Horan joining us in the studio. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, I've got some news coming out of Rio. It has to do with Airbnb. And then we'll get into the whole marketing of BK & Swan Horan. It's a B2B. How do you do that other than coming on the show? Obviously. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Stick around.
God bless Texas.
We are back, DFW Business Today. I am Brian Glenn. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Airbnb is winning big time in Rio. I'm not sure if they're giving out gold medals for this, but people are definitely booking places to stay. Airbnb says more than 66,000 people have confirmed their stay at a place in Rio to watch the Olympics. Now, even in some of Brazil's poorest areas, people are reserving places to live. And Airbnb says that they ensure the safety to their community and that they have vetted as much as possible these places that are offering their bed for their sofas and their beds to sleep on. The reason why I kind of stumbled for a second is I read that and I go, there's no way.
No.
Look, I won't even do an Airbnb in McKinney. I'd be darned if I'm going to go down to Rio.
You could send me down there with armed guards that have Airbnb on the name tags or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm not staying in those places, those slums in Rio.
And they're keeping an eye out for locals overcharging for rooms like it had to do in the Super Bowl earlier this year in California and other large events because people can get a little out of hand on what they charge.
Yeah.
But
then again, the NFL gets out of hand charging for parking, doesn't they?
Nah, they sure do. Oh. They sure do. $100 to park for the St. Louis Rams, the Los Angeles Rams the other day. $100 to do that. In the studio, Michael Chester and Joe Kupke from Curtis Mathis and Danielle Cunningham from BK & Swan Horan. I'm not taking it, Joe and Michael, you guys are Airbnb guys. I'm just going out on a limb here.
Not so much,
right?
Never used it.
I don't think so. And Danielle, no. Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, nice home, yeah.
You know what? I did sign up to see what kind of properties there were, and I'll tell you, there are some surprising properties just around the Dallas area over in Gun Barrel, by Cedar Creek Lake.
I know exactly.
Some beautiful, beautiful properties that have been listed. I don't know. You just kind of have to take it on, go with your gut feeling.
Mm-hmm. I've gone on it before. When I was in Los Angeles, I was going to do it, an Airbnb, but the time ran out because you have to book before a certain hour in the day or it just goes away. But I was a little apprehensive.
Well, from one standpoint, you get to have that sort of private experience, and if you're looking at a really nice property, kind of a luxurious stay can be had, but from the other hand, you don't have all the amenities that a hotel property offers, whether that's in-room dining or on-property restaurants, bars.
I just like the location
shops.
of it.
Right.
You might have one that's near the beach.
Yes.
And it may not be a hotel near the beach or somewhere. So.
It's a different kind of experience. I'd be open to giving it a shot, actually, for a unique property, as you say, maybe a beach property. Actually, I think it's an interesting business model. In a way, it reminds me of Uber.
True.
Which I have tried. I love Uber.
It's funny. I just got an email yesterday. It says, "Oh, Brian, we want you back." So I haven't done an Uber in several months. They gave me 2 free rides. And it was already on my account. I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to download anything. There's no special code, just 2 free rides. I'm like, I like that.
That's really good marketing.
That is good marketing, which leads us into our next category. Marketing for 100, please. How actually do you market this new LED technology to your consumers?
At the present time, we really let the market go to the customer. We're using some .coms. That was our first entree into the marketplace. It was ease of entry for us. We could get online quickly, and it had a massive market. We're on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, 1000bulbs.com, which is a local company based in Garland, which is a huge LED lighting business.
1000bulbs.com.
Yeah, just the number 1000bulbs.com.
Check it out. So you went to the .com?
Went to the .coms. The gentleman who founded 1000bulbs.com looked at Curtis Mathis, said it's a household name. We want to put it out there. We believe in it. And the business has grown dramatically. And it was proof of concept that people will gravitate towards a brand when there is new technology and there's confusion in the marketplace.
I was going to say confusion. You took the words right out of my mouth. Because it's almost like you have to re-educate the consumer. And it becomes an educational process that this technology is better than what you've had before.
Yeah, any new technology shift is when we came out with plasma, LCD, and LED televisions. That consumer didn't understand it either. They looked behind the TV to see where the tubes were. Okay, they didn't know what a full definition was, or high definition, or what is a pixel. It was a whole education of exactly rebuying something that you were comfortable with for 50 years. Same thing with light bulbs. I mean, Joe and I would go into a Home Depot or a Lowe's and see some guy or some lady standing there with a light bulb in their hand trying to find one that looks just like this, and they're not there. And they're not sure what they should shop with. Do we buy lumens? Do I buy wattage? Do I buy a brand name I've never heard of?
There's an educational aspect, definitely, that comes into play.
There's a big education going on with LED lighting. Everybody has to learn. We're so used to thinking about our lighting in terms of watts. Watts is not what's relevant anymore. Watts is how much electricity that thing is drinking up. Lumens is what you're concerned about.
Lumens. I gave you an example. I was in a Walmart, and they had a unbelievable screaming deal on a big screen. I say big screen. It was 60-plus TV for like $358 or something silly. The first thing I thought was, I've never heard of that brand, and why is this TV under $400 and it's such a large TV? And your guess would be?
Well, if you've never heard of the brand, interesting thing is I've talked to some retailers who put in LED lighting, and I talked to them about bringing in Curtis Mathis. They said, we'd love to bring in Curtis Mathis because we have customers or companies come to us all the time and say, we have this range of light bulbs which we will sell you to you for $1, and our warranty is 5 years. And the buyer will say, well, how long have you been in business? Well, we've been in business 2 years. So he says, I'll never buy a product or a light bulb from a company whose warranty is longer than they've been in business. So there's always a concern about when any new technology comes in, you always have about 100 different brands out of China or Asia that come in and flood the market quickly and leave. And they really damage the reputation of this new technology. But there's always one or two that come in that are new and different. In the television business, there was Vizio. Vizio was one of the new guys that came in that stayed, and some of the old guys, such as Sony and Sharp, went out of the business. So a lot of people
realize
come,
Sharp
a lot of people
had
go.
left the business.
Yeah, they've left the television business, and Sony lost billions of dollars a year in the business.
Wow.
We know that. I'm trying to think of what kind of. I have a Vizio.
And they just sold. That company just sold to another company out of Asia.
Wow.
It was a phenomenon. It really was.
Curtis Mathis back in did you make them right here in the U.S.? I mean, where was, for the most part? Or?
We did.
We did.
Yes.
I was talking to Joe in the break about, the cabinet, the wooden cabinet, and our TV had a record player that was in the same console.
A hi-fi stereo system.
That's it. And even had, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, it had an 8-track in there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was very modern.
Yeah, my parents were living high on the hog back then. And then you had the mesh cover for the speakers.
Absolutely.
And I played my first record ever.
Hey, Brian, you're not going to believe this, but I actually found one of those cabinets with some of the components still in it on the side of the road one time. I picked it up, brought it home, cleaned it up, and made it to a shelf system. And
wow.
I use it to put my TV on top of it.
All of a sudden, Michael's like, wait a minute.
And store things in it. Yeah.
Need to bring that by our facility.
It wasn't Curtis Mathis brand, I don't think. But yeah, it was about that age.
Good stuff.
That's when they use real wood.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Solid wood.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Because when you moved, that was the last thing you wanted to move was that television.
I know. I remember trying to help my grandma move a couple times from her apartments, and she had one of those old things. I'm like, why are you keeping this?
We get phone calls probably once a week about someone who says, "Listen, I need a new needle for my
Oh dear.
my stylus. I need a new needle, or I need a tube." And do you have a manual for that TV? My mom bought it. My grandmother just died, and I found this in her home, and it still works. Okay, would you guys like to buy it?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get rid of it because it's really very nice.
That's awesome. Now, you can find those needles for sure. Do you guys provide them, or do you just tell them where to go get them?
We tell them where to go get them.
Yeah, and you can get those manuals. You can download them online.
That's right.
And print them off.
Yeah.
You guys are in Frisco?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Good place to do business?
Fantastic place. Good place to live. Good place to do business.
Yeah.
Our BKM Swan Horan, we are very active with the Frisco Chamber of Commerce. We're at the chairman's level of our commitment with the chamber as a supporter.
That's terrific.
And they've got some really great programs coming up. One is the business of sports in Frisco.
Frisco's very big in sports. It's a key part of their strategy as a community.
Well, the featured speakers are going to be Charlotte Jones Anderson, Donnie Nelson, Chuck Greenberg. Got Brad Alberts from the Stars. He's the Chief Revenue Officer. So that's coming up. I think that's next week. So I don't know if you're involved in any of that, but you should definitely attend. It'd be a good event.
Yeah, we do work closely with the Frisco Chamber and stay in touch with those folks. We're not directly involved in that.
Well, you should still
Yes.
come.
Yeah.
It'd be a good event.
Yeah, well, one good thing about BKM Swan Horan, you guys are always involved in the community. It seems like maybe the last, 2 months you guys have been on the show. You've brought a partner that you guys, kind of team up with in the community. Last week it was
Dwell with Dignity.
Dwell with Dignity, which helps people kind of get back on their feet. Sets them up their house and with all the furniture and groceries and cooks meals for them to kind of get their life back in order. We've had the Nancy Lieberman Foundation on the show. We've had several South Dallas initiatives for food, like food deserts that exist in South Dallas. So they're always doing wonderful things.
Well, I think that's, from a marketing standpoint, while we don't market to consumers, we market to businesses. And I think one of the ways that we approach that is building relationships. And we build relationships through our community involvement as well as our involvement with chambers, such as the Frisco Chamber of Commerce, the North Dallas Chamber of Commerce, the Dallas Regional Chamber of Commerce. And so we stay very active with those things, as well as our the organizational, from the organizational standpoint, like the Texas Society of CPAs, the Texas Mortgage Bankers Association. I mean, there's just a host of things that we support and that we're involved with. And so from that standpoint, I help direct our sponsorships and our firm's employee participation and how we approach those things.
There you go. Danielle Cunningham, BKM Swan Horan, Michael Chester, and Joe Kupke, both with Curtis Mathis. And we'll continue this conversation on the other side of the break, and we'll take one final look at the markets to see what they're doing as they've been open for about 20 minutes. 8:46. We'll be right back. All right, parents, listen up. McDonald's says it's going to include a fitness tracker with all Happy Meals purchased while supplies last. They will hand out these activity trackers so you can get a better idea of just how active your child is during the day. Now, this is available in U.S. and Canadian stores for the next 4 weeks or so. And like I said, until supplies last. This is on the heels of all the excitement of what that is a part of the Olympics. So have a chicken nugget and a smile, Go run those laps with that fake chicken in your belly.
Do you even want me to get into this? You just want to comment that it exists. The story
I
it
think
exists.
It's funny that they're giving away fitness trackers and a Happy Meal. That's all.
It's
You
amusing.
know what? It's a consumer marketing play.
That's it. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny. And I like the fact that they're offering white milk and apple slices and alternative to, your fries and things like that. I get that. I think it's kind of funny. I think suppliers will. This is one of those prizes that you get that supplies will go quick. Because I remember as a kid, they had a SpongeBob SquarePants of Burger King did years ago. A little thing you push SpongeBob and you record a voice and it plays it back in his voice. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I probably bought more kid meals at Burger King than I wanted to. I want to admit right now on the radio. This is going to sell out quick.
Really?
Now, whether or not people are going to use it, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's called a fitness tracker, and people associate that with some type of high-end, kind of an iPhone-type device. It's gone. Anyway, there's your McDonald's news for the day. Michael Chester, Joe Kupke, both with Curtis Mathis, and Daniel Cunningham with BCAM Swan Horan in the studio. Talking technology, talking marketing, talking the future. And Joe, you and I were saying in the break about one particular company, but if a company doesn't identify the future and have the willingness to stop and do an about face and go a different direction, you could lose out.
You have to be adaptable. Business is kind of reminds me of the animal world or the plant world, but there's evolution involved. And if you don't evolve, you will be a dinosaur. There are companies, some great companies made encyclopedias and sold them door to door. And, they didn't do so well when the internet came along. There were opportunities, but you have to adapt to that. There are examples in, photography and publishing and all sorts of worlds. Here at Curtis Mathis, this is not a great time to be making televisions. We will, when there is exciting technology that the consumers are embracing, we will make some of the best televisions on the planet. Right now, the consumers need to save electricity and increase the quality of their lighting through LED lighting, and that's what we're doing, is making some of the finest LED lighting.
That's a pitch. That's a pitch right there. Michael, is that a pitch or what?
I'm teaching him the best I can.
It is a good pitch there. And I think when you guys come screaming back in that market in the television sector, you get a whole generation of people that are like, wait a minute, why am I buying this? I'm going back over here. I'm going back over here. Get that friend back on the.
They still have that brand awareness.
They do. And you talked about in marketing in your business in the financial services area as being relationship building. Ultimately, so is Curtis Mathis. We try to build a relationship with every consumer out there, everybody to use our products. We want them to aspire to own other Curtis Mathis products, and we're going to keep making great Curtis Mathis products for them to own.
Yeah, I like it. And of course, we got a couple minutes left. Danielle, great for having you on the show, because very rarely, usually your partners take over the microphone and prevent us from talking shop.
This is true.
It's kind of nice when you leave the guys out of it.
Well, you know what? I think they do a terrific job for accountants to come in and get comfortable with the broadcast medium and to think about, talking, in terms of how do you relate tax and audit services to the businesses and the decision makers.
And how do you make that relevant on the radio? We can't talk tax laws for an hour. We could. It might be a little snoozer, good information, but it's all the other stuff that you guys bring into the mix, which really makes it pop.
Well, I think they do a great job with our clients, and that's why they stay with us. Those trusted relationships, and we seek to build upon that by building new relationships and being out in the community. And to have friends is to be a friend.
I like. Boy, look at that! Did you just make that up?
No, that's an old saying.
She did not make that.
Coming up on tomorrow's show, we're going to stick with this whole legendary products and the inventor. I've got the inventor of the laser tag.
Wow.
Now, how often did you play laser tag as a kid? Of course, I didn't really play a whole lot, but it's one of those inventions. It's like, wow, okay. It's still, that technology is still around today, laser tag.
I'd much rather play laser tag than paintball.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Yes. Or airsoft.
True.
My kids, they got in a phase where they had airsoft guns, and you would think that the apocalypse was coming at my house. Like, we have, AKs and, all these weapons in the house, and it's not good. But we've got that guy on tomorrow. So we talk about how he developed laser tag and the future of that technology and where it's going. Thanks so much for joining us. Once again, the website or the retail outlets to get a hold of the Curtis Mathis
would be Amazon.com, Walmart.com, 1000bulbs.com.
There you go. And then, of course, for BKM Swan Haran,
BKMSH.com or 545-4CPA.
I kind of feel guilty. Let's turn the lights off of this old technology and sit in the dark and save energy. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 o'clock.